Hey YouTube, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. It is a gray kind of Wednesday here in my world and I have not had a car since Monday morning. It's about to drive me nuts. I can't get down to the park, get out of this house very much other than walking around the neighborhood. And it's been kind of raining off and on, so I can't venture too far out. But anyhow, no big deal, no big deal. Today I want to talk about the top 3 benefits of my raw food diet. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you go hit that subscribe button. Then be sure you click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. And then come back and watch some more of my videos. I got some playlists there. Most of the time people answer, if they just went and looked at the playlist, they say, hey, do you have a video on this? I got a lot of playlists. Go check them out. The what I eat in a day, for beginners, for transitioning. So yeah, it's all over there. So what are my top 3 benefits of my raw food diet? My raw food diet. Notice I said that, my raw food diet. When everybody says, well, that doesn't happen for me, I'm like, I don't know, can't explain you. I just know for mine. And the number one I think I'll always have to say is digestion, digestion, digestion. I didn't have, now I've mentioned to you guys before, even before I came to this lifestyle, I didn't have terrible digestion, not as an adult anyway. But it was kind of like a mystery. You know, I've mentioned I could wake up some days, maybe just have a funky stomach, or you got a little bit of indigestion or heartburn, and you're like, huh, I must have eaten something that disagreed with me. Well, now there's none of that. I know what I'm eating all the time, and I know how it works in my body, and I'm like, almost if it disagrees with me, I've probably gotten something that's poisoned. Now, when I was a kid, and I guess the reason I know that I appreciate digestion so well is I didn't have any condition, no disease, no nothing. I just ate horribly as a kid. And looking back on the food combining that I was doing and some of the things I was doing, it just it makes sense. I mean, I had that a lot when I was a kid, even up through high school, where I would just eat bad and I'd have a funky stomach, and I hated that. Had a lot of stomach aches, had a lot of irregular, not necessarily what didn't have, wasn't constipated, didn't have diarrhea, but it was just irregular. Some days you go, some days you don't. Anyhow, I've felt just enough of bad digestion. I've felt just enough of anything in the gut to where I don't want it. So I always have a lot of empathy, sympathy for people that have gut issues like that. That's just horrible. And I do. I have friends. I have a friend with Crohn's, and I also have several friends with ulcerative colitis, and I can't even imagine like that. So yeah, the digestion for me is just flawless. I usually go about twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I always feel good. I always feel light. It's that feeling like you're always kind of clean inside. And I don't do anything, extraordinary. A lot of people are constantly talking about how you combine your food even now. And I don't break any big rules, but I don't have to be fanatical about it. Like yesterday, I had some nice cream. Now, every once in a while, I like to make almond butter and ice cream. I like to just use my frozen bananas and put a little fat in there. And some people will go, "Oh my God, you can't mix fruit with fat!" Blah, 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 blah. And I just hear white noise, but that doesn't bother me. Little things like that don't bother me. But generally, I I don't follow food combining because I'm sitting there going, okay, what combines with this and this? It's just I kind of have picked it up naturally, and the things I eat at the same times are conducive to that. Even the cooked food that I add, the little bit of cooked food that I add with my mostly raw. Like yesterday, for instance, yesterday's a good example. As I've told you guys before, the sweet potatoes to me, steamed sweet potatoes, baked sweet potatoes, it doesn't matter. They seem to digest differently. They do digest differently, not dramatically, but they digest differently than like eating a russet potato, white potatoes, other kinds of potatoes. So I've found even since I've been back in the States, and I do add some cooked food in there, I've even found now what works the best and what works closest to being fully raw with my digestion. And those sweet potatoes, things like that, I'll usually add some sweet potatoes to a salad, or I'll put some steamed broccoli or something on a salad. Point being, I find when you are eating some cooked food that pairing it with that salad that I would normally be having anyway just kind of helps my digestion. Anyhow, best digestion I've ever had in my life, hands down. Sustained energy. I just had in my notes down there, I was just going to say energy, but that's not the full story. It's sustained energy. I mean, I had plenty of energy before, but it was always kind of that up and down. You know, you're drinking coffee. I drank lots and lots of coffee back in the day. So you're getting hyped up on that caffeine in the morning, or, you know, I ate processed sugar back in the day. So you're putting things like caffeine and, you know, processed sugar into your body, like maybe a Danish or something from the bakery in the morning. And, you know, for a while you're like, good. You're like, you know, it's just like everybody got to have that coffee to wake up. And it might get you going initially, but it's kind of like you go up and then all of a sudden there's that drop and you're like, oh my God, you know. So the energy now is just so much more sustainable, you know, with all the fruits and the carbs and whatever. I just kind of feel when I wake up, now I'm not, you know, 100% every day ready to go, you know, take off and run a marathon, but almost every day I'm just, you know, bright. I don't have those ups and downs. I wake up. I'm a fairly early riser. I usually wake up around 6:30, you know, do a little meditation before I get out of bed, maybe watch a couple of motivational, inspirational things. But I'm an early morning person, and then, you know, I drift off pretty early at night. But when I'm not, during the course of my day, if I need to do stuff, I've got plenty of energy, and there's not this just kind of dozing off. And there's also the kind of food that here's a biggie for you. The kind of food that we're eating, it doesn't zap your energy to digest it. Like, you know, back in the day, we would joke about it. We had a word, a food coma. You know, you would eat so much, like on a night or especially holidays or whatever, to where you just literally couldn't do anything afterwards. You know, if it's a holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you're crashed out on the couch watching sports. So that's just not a good way to live, going up and down like that. Now, most of the type things that I eat, I could eat my biggest meal and go out and exercise immediately. Go out for a run. Oh, I don't run really, so I'm not going to go out for a run, but I could go out and do whatever active that I'm going to do immediately after the biggest meals that I eat on this lifestyle, and it doesn't slow me down a bit because it's not requiring all the blood flow, the blood in your body. That's basically what it is. All that blood has to go to digestion. The less blood that has to go to digesting your food, the more energy you have. So, you know, pretty much I have energy all the time. I'm not anything spectacular. I'm not doing any crazy athletic feats. I exercise. I just, you know, just kind of keep my body moving. But I feel good all the time. And at 56, I'm pretty happy with that. And I guess the third one is, and I've mentioned this recently, or I've mentioned it a lot of times, is just the weight thing, the maintenance of the weight, the not ever having to think about weight. Well, other than actually having to think about, okay, did you eat enough today? But I never have to worry about the scale anymore. I got on the scale this morning. I kind of know each day by how much I've eaten, but first time in my life, between the ages of 48 and 56 that I could just keep my weight at a certain, you know, weight or a range. I mean, you know, within 3 or 4 pounds all the time, and not have to even think about it. I don't have to think about, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat this for lunch. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't do that. The shouldn'ts don't exist anymore. I have my food. So within the world, the parameters of my food, I can eat all I want because I won't be able to eat enough to put on extra weight. It just can't be done as long as I'm eating clean. As long as I'm eating clean. And there I'll have to give you my old cliche phrase is, the cleaner you eat, the more you can eat. But I think, you know, sometimes people say, well, it's not working for me. I'm not losing the weight. And I don't know exactly what you're doing. Once again, that's where I recommend a food journal. Write down everything you have, and then you can go back in there and you can figure out. For most people, it's not your thyroid. For most people, it's not hormones. For most people, it's not anything magical or exceptional in your body. It's the things that you're probably missing. like a lot of people. I know I know my mother was overweight for a lot of years, and I know women that are around the house, like housewives that take care of the kids, whatever. Maybe they're making food, they're making meals throughout the day, they're preparing food in advance, and they're always taking a bite. Or, maybe they're just like not sitting down and eating a lot of food, but they're always popping something in their mouth. They're snacking. We all do that. We all do that. So a lot of times, if I really drill down and I'm like, well, if I really ask them, okay, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Or I've had people come back to me and tell me, yeah, it was this. I found it. If you write it all down, you can troubleshoot that. You can troubleshoot it, because on a raw food diet, it's just so easy to maintain the weight. And for anybody out there that's getting ready to cringe, if you do have some issue, it's not 100%. What I'm saying there is not 100%. Listen very closely so you don't miss that. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule, but in general, and I would say that in life, start learning that exceptions are exactly what they are. They're exceptions. An exception doesn't mean 5 out of 10 people. An exception doesn't mean 3 out of 10 people. An exception is usually, 3%, 2%, but that's neither here nor there. I would say this, and I'll conclude with this. For the people that say, I can't lose weight or I can't do whatever, whether you want to maintain your weight and you're not maintaining your weight, or whether you want to lose weight, I will say this. This is probably your best chance, like the raw food. So, okay, let's say even you have some issue, you have some special circumstances, whatever. You still got to eat because you still got to live. So, at best, I think this is going to give you, even if you have something like that, and you do have to do some hormonal work, which I want to learn about that soon. My friend that's coming to live here for a while, she's very knowledgeable in that area, so I'm looking forward to picking her brain. But it's, like I say, if you can't, I'll finish with this, and this is not a statement, it's just like a question in my head. If you couldn't lose the weight, if you want to lose the weight on a raw food diet, I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of how you would lose it. And sustain the loss. Diets, anybody can do a diet. You can do a diet for 6 weeks and you can drop the weight, but if you don't continue with that, the weight will come right back on. Anyhow, those are just my three. There's so many more benefits out there. I could probably come up with 10, 15, 20, but those are the top ones for me. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you Friday or Saturday. Peace.